Coming up on Freedom, a review of the day's top news. This is Our Time with Mikhail Baranov in the studio. Hello. The European Commission has given a positive assessment of reform progress in Ukraine. Today, the EU published its annual enlargement report, which is prepared for all candidate countries. The European Commission noted that the document is balanced and confirms that Ukraine has joined the group of 4 countries moving toward the EU together with Moldova, Albania, and Montenegro. The European Commission highly praised the progress of the Balkan countries and emphasized that Ukraine's indicators are also positive. The Ukrainian government called the EU enlargement report the best in 3 years and noted that it contains 36 assessments across sections and individual roadmaps. In every single area, Ukraine has made progress and is moving faster than last year. The government emphasized that the record growth in most areas of reform has, for the first time, also been recognized by the European Commission. President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that Ukraine is confidently moving toward membership in the European Union.
A major achievement as of today. This is proof that even while defending itself against Russia's full-scale aggression, Ukraine continues to reform and transform in line with European standards. We expect decisive action from the EU to overcome all artificial obstacles on the path to a strong and united Europe. Unity and strength are the 2 key elements of the success of the European project and of ensuring security, prosperity, and lasting peace for all European countries, communities, and families. We are committed to working together to strengthen Europe and our shared values. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on the social network X.
Brussels is also hosting a conference today on enlargement issues, with countries represented at the leadership level. It has already been called an unprecedented event in terms of scale, as this meeting will determine the future policy of EU enlargement. At the meeting, the leaders of candidate countries are discussing their vision of progress and the challenges on the path to European integration. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky also took part in the online conference. Our special correspondent for Freedom Europe TV, Vitaly Sizov, will tell you more about the European Commission's report and the EU Enlargement Conference. He is joining us live. Vitaly, hello. Tell us how Ukraine's progress is being assessed in Brussels.
Good afternoon, Mikhailo. Indeed, today here in Brussels, the President of Ukraine is also present virtually, Volodymyr Zelensky. As you already mentioned, a report favorable to Ukraine has been published. And speaking at the conference, Volodymyr Zelensky stated that it is now also important for the European Union to fulfill its obligations, because European integration is a process that goes both ways. That's why it's necessary to open the negotiation clusters with the European Union as soon as possible, which is currently an issue. And because of Hungary's position. Volodymyr Zelensky spoke literally just a few minutes ago. As you already mentioned, the European Commission believes that 2025 was generally a successful year for the expansion of the European Union and for a whole range of candidate countries. This shows that the idea of European integration is far from being buried, and the European Union is truly focused on bringing in new member states. Significant progress in the accession process has been made by Montenegro, Albania, Moldova, and, of course, Ukraine. This shows that the reforms are bearing fruit. Ukraine's position that it is carrying out these necessary reforms under conditions of Russian aggression was also mentioned by the European Commissioner for Enlargement, Martikos, when she presented this report. First, she did this in the European Parliament, and we have her direct speech.
Against the backdrop of the difficulties caused by Russia's aggressive war, Ukraine has demonstrated its commitment to the EU course, moving forward with key reforms. The steps already taken lay the foundation for recovery and open up opportunities for greater private sector involvement. It is important to maintain this momentum and prevent any risk of backsliding, especially in the fight against corruption. The screening process with Moldova and Ukraine has been completed, and the European Commission will continue working to ensure that the EU Council is able to open all clusters in the negotiations with the EU in November. I really hope this will happen, since we always talk about the merit-based principle.
Ukraine has fulfilled all the necessary conditions at this point to open 3 clusters in the negotiations. These are the fundamentals cluster, the external relations cluster, and the internal market cluster. And as we heard, Martikos stated that the remaining clusters should be ready by November, so that later, in some accelerated manner, there would be an opportunity to open them once the veto is overcome, including Hungary and that country's position. Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha also welcomed this report. He specifically noted that in his area, which is international relations, Ukraine has almost 100% synchronized its actions and its foreign policy with the foreign policy of the European Union.
We welcome today's report on the EU's enlargement regarding Ukraine. It confirms Ukraine's significant progress and its determination to move along the European path, even in the midst of a full-scale war with Russia. We are continuing comprehensive reforms, including in the areas of rule of law, anti-corruption, and governance, as the foundation of our democratic and European future. Andrei Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, on the social network X.
Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, and I'll return once again to his speech at the conference here in Brussels, emphasized several times that European integration is a two-way process and that it needs to be accelerated as soon as possible. This is important for Ukraine, it's important for the citizens of Ukraine, for supporting their morale. For his part, Mikhail emphasized that Ukraine has built one of the most advanced anti-corruption infrastructures and, in this area, works closely with the European Union. We continue to work here in Brussels and will keep familiarizing ourselves with the details of this report in order to share them in future news releases.
Vitaly, thank you for the detailed information. We were joined live from Brussels by Freedom's special correspondent in Europe, Vitaly Sizov, with the main outcomes of the conference on EU enlargement. We will discuss this topic a bit later with our guest on the air, but for now, let's move on to other important news from Tuesday. Overnight on Tuesday, Russia launched 1 Iskander-M ballistic missile, 6 anti-aircraft missiles, S-300s, and 130 drones at Ukraine, according to the Ukrainian Air Force. Ukrainian air defenders neutralized 92 drones of various types in the north, south, and east of Ukraine. Missile and drone strikes were recorded at 14 locations. 1 person was killed and 8 others were injured, including 2 children. Russia struck residential areas in the Sinelnikov district of Dnipropetrovsk region. A cafe building, private homes, and cars caught fire. Rescuers quickly extinguished the flames. The Russian Federation also attacked Pavlograd. As a result of the shelling, infrastructure facilities were damaged, according to the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration. In the Koppel, which is also in the Dnipropetrovsk region, the Russian army deliberately struck an ambulance that was transporting a patient to the hospital. 3 medical workers were injured. Rescuers quickly transported the injured to medical facilities. Explosions were also heard today in the Kharkiv region. In the village of Dokachevsk, as a result of a drone attack, 2 private houses, a gas pipeline, and civilian infrastructure were set on fire. One of the Russian drones hit the building of the local fire department, causing significant damage to the fire station and equipment. A residential house also caught fire in the village of Ruskalozova. In total, there are 6 injured in the region, including 2 rescuers. The Russian army has intensified shelling in the Donetsk region, especially in Kramatorsk and Kostyantynivka. Life in these cities is becoming increasingly unsafe, so local residents, most of whom are elderly, have to be evacuated. This is being handled by the Ukrainian National Police Unit, White Angel. How the evacuation from dangerous areas is carried out, more in the report.
This is one of the streets in Kostyantynivka, with burned-out cars in the middle of the road. The very next street is blocked off with a net. It partially protects against strikes from Russian drones. In some places, the net is torn. That means a Russian drone hit there. Ukrainian police evacuate civilians under constant risk, so they move in short dashes.
3 people have come to evacuate you. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
You have 3 people?
4 bags.
4 bags. Does everyone have their documents? Yes. All right, just go out, take your things over there, and bring them out. Take it to the road.
How's Mom?
Is Mom bedridden?
Well, she's doing it slowly.
Show me.
This family, the woman and her bedridden mother, are taken away by an evacuation group. You have to drive very fast. Fortunately, the evacuation group still has the ability to pick up people from Konstantinovka. And here's from Pokrovsk. Not anymore.
Now, for example, with Pokrovsk, we can no longer go in there. We ask people to walk to the nearest settlements, and that's where we pick them up. Because driving in there by car makes you the #1 target for the enemy. The Russians are constantly hitting logistics routes, cars, and transport. And
This is already Kramatorsk. Generators are humming in the streets. Because of Russian shelling, almost the entire Donetsk region has been left without electricity. Burned-out cars can be seen in the middle of the roads here, just like in Konstantinivka. The evacuation team still has to move quickly. This time, a Russian attack drone was spotted above them. Local residents are hastily gathering their things for evacuation. The police are asking people to hurry up.
Faster. Drones are flying around. Just the boots. Over there. Let's help Grandma.
Experienced fisherman who works by the sea.
Try over here, so they don't put Grandma in there.
The police managed to evacuate a group of elderly people from Konstantinivka and the outskirts of Kramatorsk. And despite constant shelling and the danger from Russian drones, the evacuation from the frontline areas of Donetsk region continues. Zania Sidinskaya for Freedom TV channel.
Another 840 Russian occupiers were eliminated at the front over the past day. Thus, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russia's total combat losses since the start of the full-scale war have already exceeded 1,145,000 soldiers. In addition, yesterday, 5 Russian tanks, 1 armored combat vehicle, 42 artillery systems, and more than 90 units of automotive equipment were destroyed. In Pokrovsk, additional forces from the Timur Special Unit broke through a ground corridor to the GUR Special Forces, who had taken up new positions the day before after a successful airborne operation. This was reported by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The agency emphasized that fierce fighting with Russian occupiers is ongoing in one of the districts of Pokrovsk. The main task of the defense forces is to prevent the Russian army from disrupting the supply of Ukrainian units. There were 163 combat clashes on the front over the past day. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ukrainian defenders repelled 19 attacks on the Alexandrovsky bridgehead, 17 on the Konstantinovsky bridgehead. In the Kupiansk area, Russian troops launched 14 attacks in the southern Slobozansky direction, particularly near Volchansk. The Armed Forces of Ukraine stopped 6 attempts at an offensive. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Pokrovsk direction remains the hottest spot on the front. There, Russian troops made 55 attempts to storm the positions of the defense forces.
Russian occupation forces around the city of Pokrovsk, according to various average estimates, number about 100,000. All of this that's happening right now is an attempt to buy a little more time, because the pressure is really serious, and for 13 months straight, as we've discussed, the city's defenders have been doing unimaginable things in terms of defense. According to all the rules and all the plans of the Russian Federation, the city should have been captured back in September or October 2024.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.